Welcome to the Fantasy Champions Fantasy Football Podcast. Here's your host, Morgan Colby and Rick Lemon.
What's poppin'? Fantasy Champs. Welcome to Fantasy Champions Fantasy Football Podcast. My name's Morgan Colby. I got Rick Lemon with me, as always, was poppin' Ricardo.
What's going on?
You know, I should animate you sliding in like the Collinsworth slide.
Yeah.
It's just the camera pans to the left, and all of a sudden.
Now here's a guy.
Here's a guy
has elite football placement.
Footwork is the greatest I've ever seen.
I mean, he's just unbelievable.
He's unbelievable. Yeah. That's Sunday Night Football, correct?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Good. Anyway, yeah, welcome to Fantasy Champions Fantasy Football Podcast. Today we're going to talk about our Thursday night preview for fantasy football in Week 6. So we're going to go through the Thursday night football game per usual, give you some starts, some guys we think you should start, some guys we think you should sit, and some guys that we think you shouldn't have on your fantasy team altogether. We'll just go through a lot of guys like we normally do. How was your we already did waiver wire show, but since was week 2, was week 5 already over when we recorded our last show? Because I can't remember.
Yeah.
How'd you do in your leagues? Is what I was.
This was actually probably one of my worst of the season.
Yeah.
I did okay though. I had a Lamar Jackson miracle in one league. I think I went even. I want to say I think I went 3-4 or 4-3 or something like that. I can actually check.
So I was winning 5 out of 7 leagues. Before Monday night.
Oh.
And then I won only 3. So
do I count the tough leagues?
I do, so you can too.
Okay.
We're just owning it in that league, by the way. Just destroying it. But anyway, yeah. I won in, I think, 3 of 7 leagues in Rick. We like the same players, so that makes sense.
Yeah.
Must have been a bad matchup week. I hate when I go into my sleeper app and all you see is red on your matchups.
I'm in 9 leagues. I didn't even know that. Yeah, I went 5-4. So
5-4. That's not bad. But anyway, so we're gonna get you started with week 6 tomorrow. We got starts and sits. Friday we have trade targets. So we get you through the rest of the week with all kinds of fantasy football content to prepare you for your Week 6 matchups. Before we jump into this, check out our website, fantasychampions.com. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, at the FF Champs, at the Fantasy Champions, /Fantasy Champions, wherever. Type our name and you'll find us. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, or any other podcast platform, share a review, leave a review, and share this podcast with your friends. Wow. My tongue is numb.
good job.
If you were watching on YouTube, subscribe, click the bell for notifications, and like and comment down below. Leave us questions about the Thursday Night Football game. Any questions you like. We'll even give you a prediction if you want.
Wow, you gotta ask nicely for that one.
Yeah. Eagles, Bucs. This should be a pretty easy game to predict, to be honest with you.
Yeah, Eagles by 30.
Eagles by 75.
Screw Brady. Screw the Bucs. I got Philadelphia.
Philadelphia. All right, let's hop in. So the Eagles are at home. Bucs are on the road. Bucs get another night game. I don't know why the Raiders got 17 night games to start the year.
I know they literally had 3, I think, already.
I was like, my God, I'm done watching the Raiders. It was 7 night games and 3 of them had the Raiders in it, and I was like, wow, start the year. But anyway, Bucs, I believe it's the second primetime game or third primetime game. It's their third primetime game.
Yeah, because opening night, yeah.
Opening night. I always forget about that game. Anyway, so yeah, we're going to go through the Bucs. We're going to go through the Eagles lineup. So let's hop right in. We'll start with the Eagles home. This is interesting. We haven't really talked to I like doing these shows because we get to like go through all these different players that we talked about in the offseason that we haven't really talked about too much on the show because they're playing well. Usually guys that are playing well, we don't talk about too much because we get trade targets. You usually talk about guys who suck that you should trade for who haven't been playing well on that one. Starts and sits, we talk about we don't like to give you obvious start and sit decisions, even though some people need those obvious start and sit decision advices. But anyway, and then waiver wire, we talk about absolute nobodies. So this is a show where we can kind of go through what's happening with some of these teams in the NFL, and I think it's kind of interesting. But anyway, Jalen Hurts was one of the guys that we where did you have him ranked? Do you remember?
No, it was kind of high though. I think it was kind of high. QB 9.
Yeah, but we like Jalen Hurts as a breakout this year, and so right now he's QB 7 on the season. The big thing about Jalen Hurts is that there have been guys, who have scored, 30, 40 fantasy points on the week and have had ridiculous performances. But Jalen Hurts has almost been like this steady Eddie quarterback through, 5 weeks in the season. His worst game was week 2 against San Francisco where he had 20 points. But he's put up 33, 20, 24, 31, and 21, and the rushing totals have been really, really good for him. The thing that I noticed is he's like new Dak Prescott over here. And the reason why I say new Dak Prescott, not because of any talent comparisons, but only because the last 2 years I've had Dak Prescott on my fantasy team, I had to wait till the fourth quarter for him to actually put up fantasy points.
Oh, trash time.
So, trash time Jalen Hurts. They actually won this week, but he has scored in the last
comeback.
2 to 3 weeks. Did you say it again? It was a comeback?
Yeah, they won this week, but it was because of a touchdown. I want to say there was 2 minutes left in the game.
Yeah.
The fourth quarter touchdown for Jalen Hurts where he ran it in. So, yeah, he was bumming, though, for most of the game.
So, he was having a tough game, and then he ran it for 2 touchdowns in the fourth quarter.
Right.
I was like, let's go. Didn't throw a passing touchdown at all. Still scored 21 fantasy points. Love the rushing for this kid. What are your thoughts for him against Tampa? Because the common theme that we've seen against Tampa Bay has been their the rush defense has been eating people alive. So guys like, we'll get to the running backs in a second, but the running back position hasn't been scoring a lot of fantasy points, but quarterbacks, wide receivers scoring a lot of fantasy points because the Bucs defense has lost basically every single one of their secondary members that they signed at the beginning, had on the team at the beginning of the season. So, this is going to be a game plan where Jalen Hurts is going to get a lot of opportunities. And I hate Thursday Night Football because it's a horrible indicator of what actually is going to happen. But a lot of people go into Thursday night and go, this is an easy matchup. It's a great week. And then it's 7-14.
Yeah.
So, I don't know if that's going to happen, but Hurts is a good start this week, I think.
Yeah, he is a good start. I think he's actually a really good start. Chances are he's going to get more trash time points because I have a strange feeling that Tampa's going to win this game. Call it a gut feeling or call it evidence.
Yikes.
However you want to put it. But, I would say Tampa's probably going to win this game, have control over it. But Hurts has a chance for a trash time touchdown or some late fourth quarter yards. And as you said earlier, Tampa's defense in the secondary is destroyed. So Hurts should be able to pass the ball pretty well against this team. Tampa has pretty much given up a decent amount of points to every quarterback they've played.
Right.
Dak did decent. Matt Ryan did good. Stafford did great. Mac did decent against Tampa.
Did he have 19, the kid?
Yeah, for Mac, that's good.
Wow.
And I think Jacoby Brissett did decent as well, considering he's Jacoby Brissett. But, so I would expect Hurts to have a good week, and he's definitely startable. But at this week, he's pretty much in your lineup every week because he's a top 7
at this
quarterback.
point, yeah. I mean, the schedule he has to end the season is really easy, but this middle of the season schedule is kind of tough. I mean, Detroit's easy, but he's got the Chargers, the Raiders, the Broncos, the Saints, and then
it's the AFC West.
And then after that, it's Giants, Jets, Washington, Giants, Washington, and those are pretty
So from week 12 on, it should be.
Yeah, but anyway. He's been consistent. I think the biggest thing is that even when he has a bad game passing like this week, 198 yards, 22 completions, and 1 interception, even when he does have a bad week passing, the rushing just is so... And he even had a bad week rushing this week, to be honest with you. He only had 3 yards per rush. But he's still
2 touchdowns, though.
He still scored those 2 touchdowns. So it's but the rushing he provides gives you a really, really safe floor to the point where if he has a really bad week passing and he can't move the ball and he only gets 190, 200 yards through the air and he doesn't score a touchdown, he's got fantasy points on the ground that he can fall back on. So it's like, I like that part of Jalen Hurts as a quarterback, but he's been really good for fantasy so far this year. And to be honest with you, in real life, he really hasn't been that bad either. I know a lot of people try to shame Jalen Hurts and tell him he's terrible, but I don't know. People are watching.
Yeah. No, I think he's been decent, though.
Yeah.
He's been better than last year.
Like I heard somebody call him Blake Bortles.
Yeah, Blake Bortles with like, better legs or whatever.
Fair.
Yeah, I don't think it's been that bad.
He's a second-year player, and his completion percentage has gone up. I think his team really isn't that good, to be honest with you. But anyway, yeah. So I would start Jalen Hurts. Let's talk about Devonna Smith. We can't spend like hours on these guys, but I love Jalen Hurts, so I'll spend a lot of time on Jalen Hurts. Smith has actually put up some good performances and then some not so good performances. He is, however, getting targeted like 8 to 9 times a game. So I think at this point, despite the inconsistent production, I feel
he is the wide receiver 1 on the team.
He is the wide receiver 1 on that team, and he should be in your lineup on a week-to-week basis.
Yeah. I would say so, at least as a flex.
If you have Devonta Smith as your wide receiver 2, you're in trouble.
Yeah, he's more of like a flex week to week, but it's a good start for this week against Tampa, like we talked about that secondary. And the chances are who's going to be on him? Richard Sherman, washed with Richard Sherman. So I think Devonta Smith should actually have a good game, especially if he continues to get targeted like eight times or so. He actually did okay against Carolina. He just didn't come in with a touchdown, and he had a fumble as well. So if he can just play well against Carolina, you're not expecting 30 points from Devonta Smith, but he is a very solid flex. I would expect him to get like 12, 13, maybe 14 fantasy points, and he's definitely startable.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, against Tampa this week, he's startable.
Right.
Sorry, I was reading something. Jalen Rieger, utter disappointment. 2 years, first-round picks at the wide receiver position, so they should have a really good receiver core, you would think.
I was all anti-Rieger in the offseason. I was not a fan. Week 1 happens, he has a good game, and I'm like, did I jump off the train too early? And I was like, you know what? I think I might have. I'm going to give him a chance. Since that game, he has 1, 7, 2, 3 fantasy points.
Yeah, that's not good. That's not good at all.
I'm retiring from Jalen Rieger.
So I feel like for Rieger, obviously, I mean, the end of season schedule is absurd for all of the wide receivers on this team, but he's not reliable. He doesn't get enough target share. If in redraft, in a 10 and 12 man league, 6 bench spots, like this guy shouldn't be on your. He should honestly not be in your lineup, but
not be on your roster.
I don't even think he should be on your roster. There's other guys.
I agree. He shouldn't. Yeah.
But if the target share increased, he might be okay. But he's basically just Hardman, but a little less field stretcher. So I mean,
that's kind of is what he feels like.
Yeah.
And he doesn't have Mahomes throwing to him. I know we just talked about Jalen Hurts being better than last year and decent, but he's still not Mahomes. So,
oof. I want to talk about this, but it has nothing to do with fantasy football or football in general.
Oh yeah, I just saw that.
We'll talk about it after. I love it. Anyway, Quiz Watkins has been getting 3 targets a week. He should not be rostered. He should not be on your team. So let's move forward with other guys. We will talk about Miles Sanders a little bit more in the long-term extent or the length of the fantasy season extent later in the week. But right now, let's talk about him for this week. So he had 17 points in week 1. Same thing as Rieger. Everyone was like, okay, this is better than what we thought from Miles Sanders. And then he had 6, 8, 7, 10 in PPR. I believe this is PPR. Yeah, this is PPR.
Yeah, because in half PPR it's 6, 7, 6, 7.
Yeah. So he has not been very good, but there is some bright holes to Miles Sanders, which is he had like 20 carries game. He had 20 touches game 1, 15 touches game 2, only 6 touches game 3, 10 touches game 4, and then he had 16 touches against Carolina this past week. So it's clear that they want, and his efficiency actually hasn't been too awful. I think they're just figuring out what they really want to do with him. If they give him 14, 15 touches on the ground and like 2 to 3, maybe 4, touches through the air, I think he'll be a really good fantasy running back. But it's just going to take, time. So like I said, we'll talk about him later in the week. But is he startable against Tampa this week?
No, I don't know. I wouldn't feel confident about it unless you have to.
Yeah, I would.
Which chances are, if Miles Sanders is on your team, you drafted him in like the 3rd round, you probably do have to start him. But yeah, if you have a better option, I would avoid him this week.
I agree. I would avoid him too. The only thing that holds me back is, and maybe the next guy that we're going to talk about, Kenneth Gainwell, benefits a little bit more from this, but it's the receiving part of the passing game, because backs that are good receiving backs against Tampa actually tend to do well because they're throwing the ball so much. But like I think Pollard did okay, or Zeke did okay in week 1 against Tampa because of the pass catching. But anyway, I think for Sanders, I wouldn't start him this week, even though I think he's going to get some pass catching work. I'd sit him on the bench and take the risk. As far as Kenneth Gainwell is concerned, I literally know people in leagues who are starting this guy. He had 12, 7, 6, 20, and 3 in PPR. And he had 1 game with 8 targets, but he has his efficiency really hasn't been there in terms of rushing. He really hasn't even been that good through the yards per catch totals are okay, but yeah, he just hasn't been getting a lot of opportunities, so I would not play him or start him this week at all. I wouldn't even have him really on a roster at this point, but float your boat if you want him.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's fair. I wouldn't start him though.
And then the tight ends, we have Goddard out, I believe, and I want to check that really fast. So make sure you set that lineup properly. Yeah, he's on the COVID list, so he should be out this week. They have to spend a minimum of 10 days on the list, and then get 2 negative tests. So, yeah, I think Goddard's going to be out this week and maybe the following. We'll see. But Zach Ertz slots in as the guy who is going to not replace him because they run a lot of 12 personnel. So I feel like Zach Ertz is just going to get an increased role. You've seen Goddard get 6, 7 catches a game. 6 to 7 targets a game, and you've seen Zach Ertz get the same kind of target share. Does his target share move to like 9 or 10 targets this week against Tampa Bay because Goddard's out of the lineup, or is he just going to stick with the same production?
I think I'm not sure his targets changed too much from the last few weeks, which is not a bad thing because he's been getting a lot of targets. But they do run 12 personnel, so I don't think he's getting all the available targets. But I think he's good for a 7-target game, and it's just a matter of what he does with it. And I think I would definitely take the chance of that, especially with the tight ends being the way they are. To me, he's a playable tight end this week. He's a top 10 tight end with a chance to have a good game against a weak passing defense for Tampa.
Okay, fair enough. I would start him this week too. I was talking to Rick before the show. The conundrum of T.J. Hawkinson or Zach Ertz.
Yeah.
Jumps into my mind. And it really shouldn't be that hard, but Hawkinson hasn't played.
The Hawks battling an injury. He hasn't been great.
So if he does not play this week, then I got to go Ertz. But it's Thursday night that Ertz is playing.
But it's Thursday. Yeah.
I got to make that decision now. It's not like I'm giving up on T.J. Hawkinson. Maybe you know it's not like that. So let's move on to the Bucs. We have talked about the Bucs before because we talked about them week 1, but we'll give you a synopsis real quick about what you should do, which is basically start everyone.
So how about Tom Brady, huh?
QB2 on the season.
And he's pretty much QB1. I think he's like within a couple points. Let me see the exact number. But yeah, he's pretty much QB1.
I don't know. Some people say the New England game, like he was too jazzed up and he got in his own head. And I'm like, that doesn't happen to Tom Brady. So I'm like,
yeah, but it was in Gillette.
he did, bro. He's thrown an average of like 4 touchdowns.
Did you watch him though? Like he had like his eyes were just wide open the entire time. He was like looking around, like he was.
Yeah,
he did
eyes
not
are
look
wide
the same.
open enough to see his receivers that he couldn't complete the ball to. Anyway,
he's 0.2 points behind Mahomes being the QB1.
Ridiculous. 5 touchdowns. You know what it is, and I'm gonna be honest with you, Rick. The first couple weeks of the season, it either is Brady absolutely destroying a team and making them really look really bad against quarterbacks this year. There's enough sample size at this point to tell, but the matchups he's had to start the season, Dallas, Atlanta, the Rams, Miami, those are all easy matchups. And then you have New England, a tougher matchup, scores 11 fantasy points. He's got Philly,
Are the Rams
Chicago,
an easy
New
matchup?
Orleans. Say it again?
Are the Rams an easy matchup?
They have been so far this year. The other quarterbacks have been having success against them for whatever
What
reason.
about Miami?
Yeah, Miami's been getting torched by quarterbacks.
Okay.
Philly, Chicago, New Orleans, tougher matchups. Washington, Giants, Indianapolis, Atlanta. He'll just kill those teams again. And then he has Buffalo, New Orleans, Carolina, the Jets, and then Carolina again. So some very, very tough matchups down the stretch for Brady. I don't think he can keep up this 4 or 5 touchdown pace per game.
Well, no.
And I will die on that sword if I have to, but that is why he is getting so many fantasy points.
I mean, it's been almost 2 years now where you said...
I know that, but we're talking about over the 4 or 5 week span. Like last year,
fair.
Brady was having games where he was getting 2 or 3 touchdowns in a game, and he had some really good performances, and those 5-point touchdowns came along where he'd score 42 or 45 or whatever because he threw 5 touchdowns. He only had 4 or more touchdowns like 4 times last year, where he has done it so far this season literally 3 times. So either it's going to continue, or the schedule at the beginning of the season was just really easy for Brady, and that's why he threw all these large touchdown games now. But Philly's a tougher matchup. I feel like if you have him, you got to start him. Like he's the QB2.
He's the QB2.
Yeah, you got to start him. So it's not even a question, but just a beware situation for Brady. It's also early in the season, and he does always, because ever since his 40th year of his life, ever since he turned 40, usually he starts seasons really quickly with fantasy points and then starts to trickle down as the season goes along. So we'll see if it continues. I don't know, Rick.
Yeah, I mean, he kind of did that last year, but then he also finished his playoff points were 23, 29, 31.
Yeah, he was playing Atlanta, Detroit, and Atlanta, and then
I know,
Minnesota.
But yeah, I mean, I remember trying to tell you that last year, but anyway, yeah, no, I mean, I do generally agree.
Shame.
I think, Atlanta, Dallas are easy matchups. The Rams kind of are easy, but not really.
Yeah.
I mean, and Miami's like average. So yeah.
Here's the weird part about Los Angeles, and I gotta go look at the actual numbers of the quarterbacks they played, but yeah, Brady had a good game. What's 29 fantasy points that he had?
You're looking at the 6-point touchdown, which is why.
Am I
I
really?
think. Yeah, he had 28.
The numbers are like absurd. That's not 6-point touchdown league, is it? Oh my god, it is. I'm an idiot. Okay. Anyway, looking at Tom Brady, yeah, the 27 fantasy point game that he had against Los Angeles, he did really well, but they have been, for whatever reason, I don't know if it's a slow start for them, but they have been giving up a lot of fantasy points to the quarterback position. It's not Brady having an elite week and dropping 45.
You know what it is? I'm looking at it. Every quarterback they've played well against, except Brady and Kyler Murray. Torched them.
Yeah, I mean that.
It's because they played Kyler. I think it was just because they play. Like, I think their defense is good. It was just Kyler.
Yeah,
torched them the most. They scored 40 points on the games, but the other 3 matchups they did a good job. Even against Tampa, they did pretty good. And they were doing good against Russ before he got hurt. I think he had like a touchdown and a pick in the first half. So
okay.
Yeah, the Eagles are a good matchup, or a bad matchup for Brady, but at the same time, it's the Eagles.
It's not really a bad matchup. They're kind of mediocre.
Yeah. So I would start. I mean,
but it's a Thursday night game too, and Brady's 44
I
years
still
old.
start him. I still start him.
No, like I said, I think he's startable, but I think it's a beware situation for him this week because he could go out and absolutely go ham, or this could be a just hand it off the entire game. But they don't have a good run defense. They have a the Eagles. Well, they did have a good run defense last year, but anyway, whatever. Let's talk about the 3 wide receivers: Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, Antonio Brown. Evans has been really good. He's an obvious start. 24, 18, 14, 29 so far this year, getting about 8 to 10 targets a game. So he's a definite start this week. Disagree or agree?
No, I agree. He's been very good.
So Chris Godwin is the next guy. He's had 22, 16, 19, 8, and 14.
And now you're looking at a PPR league, by the way.
Yes, I'm in PPR. Sorry.
Okay.
I'm transitioning all leagues to PPR next year. All numbers are always in PPR anyway, so I'm getting fed up.
No, that's anyway.
Fair. He's had some really good games, especially against Dallas and Los Angeles. But I think he would be a start this week. A little bit tougher of a matchup. I think if you had to choose one of these guys, which one is going to be the guy that?
To be honest, I would say Godwin, just because Evans was so good last week, and he's Mike Evans. Okay. So anyone who's ever owned Mike Evans knows exactly what I'm talking about when I say that.
And then you have Antonio Brown, AB. I got 2 ABs in multiple leagues. Antonio Brown and AJ Brown. So it's A Brown, and I had them both in my wide receiver 1 and wide receiver 2 slots last week. Hella confused.
That's what it is in the home league. I have AJ Brown and Antonio Brown.
I try to trade Antonio Brown. I end up trading AJ Brown by accident. Anyway. So he had 31 points this week. I think if there's a guy that you want to, I feel like I want to start all of these guys. But if there's a receiver that you have to sit this week because of Philly's pass defense being good, it would be Brown.
Yeah.
To me, I don't know. If you disagree with that.
No, I agree. It would be Brown. But the thing is, like, I feel like Evans is due for a bad game. That's all I'm saying. Like, he has bad games where he just doesn't show up.
Sit here and try to. It's a feeling. Okay.
I mean, it's
figuring out which Bucs receiver is going to be good on a week-to-week basis is a feeling at this point. So anybody who tells you a certain guy is going to be good is lying to you.
Mike Evans every year has like 3 games where he gets like under 5 points, and he just doesn't show up.
Is this it? Is this the week?
I'm not saying this is the week. I mean, he's got the Bears and Saints next 2 weeks, so that could very well be the week.
He's your wide receiver.
No, you're not sitting him. You're not sitting him. I'm just saying, whether it's this week or maybe next week or even the week after, within the next 3 weeks, he's going to have a bad game. But yeah, if you're going to sit one of these guys, it's AB, but I think they're all startable, right? In their own way. Like if you have Antonio Brown,
I mean,
if you have Evans and Godwin,
I'm not
you're definitely starting him. And then Antonio Brown, you're probably starting him, but I guess it depends on who's
I'm kind of like, it's kind of like a beware of a bust game from anyone.
All 3 guys are top 24 wide receivers. So
you're absurd, Brady. This is like the year they had like Bob.
And Antonio Brown is
like
actually
the Rams had Bob Woods.
Antonio Brown didn't play a game and a half.
Brandon Cooks.
Oh yeah, the Rams year. Yeah.
Would you say Antonio Brown didn't do what?
Antonio Brown hasn't played a game and a half, and he's still wide receiver 25.
Yeah, he's ridiculous. I honestly, if he played a full season with Brady, he at this point could be a wide like a top 7 wide receiver in fantasy football. He's ridiculous.
Which is and
insane. Brady loves to throw it to him.
He does,
especially when Gronk's not in the lineup.
I mean, all 3 guys get targeted about the same.
Yeah,
for the most part.
I think honestly, it's also because the running game has not been great.
Ronald Jones is horrible, and then they just rely on Fournette, who is like, Leonard Fournette,
100 years old. Really 26, but in running back years, he's dead. He's the same age as I think he might be younger than Derrick Henry.
He is, which is crazy.
But anyway, Leonard Fournette has been actually decent.
He's been good because
this year.
He's getting the opportunity.
Yeah, because he's getting opportunity.
His work last year and Ronald Jones' work from last year.
So the interesting thing about Leonard Fournette this week, okay, is Philly has shifted from being a very, very good rush defense to a not so good rush defense in 1 year for whatever reason. I feel like I want to see like a couple more weeks of the season before I decide that they're giving up a lot of fantasy points to the running back position, but 6 weeks is a good enough, or 5 weeks is a good enough sample size for that. So Fournette this week is a good play. I think you should saddle him up. Rojo, leave out of your lineup. Don't start him because he's not getting opportunities. Until he gets opportunities, don't play him. But Fournette, 16, 21 last couple weeks. This game kind of looks like to me on a Thursday night football game with a 44-year-old quarterback. It looks to me like a game where they're going to try to run the ball a lot and control the clock and try to get out of there with a win and not a bunch of injuries because they have to fly out the offense and try to score a lot of points. It just feels like one of those games where Brady gets the ball down the field with the wide receivers and rushes for 3 touchdowns.
That's possible. It's also possible Brady throws 6 touchdowns against the Eagles.
That could be fair, but like I said, this is like Brady has been in the NFL for so long that like he doesn't try to overdo. He's not the
he doesn't.
Their offensive coordinator is not the actual offensive coordinator. The offensive coordinator is Tom Brady. So Brady doesn't try to overdo it when
he's not trying to throw 60 touchdowns.
Right. He's not going to try to throw 60 touchdowns. He's going to try to do what gets the win. So if handing the ball off to Leonard Fournette and Ronald Jones the whole game is going to get him a win and Giovanni Bernard, if you want to throw him in there, is going to get them the win for the week, then he'll do it. And what it looks like is that the Philadelphia Eagles pass defense is a lot better this year, and especially against wide receivers. And it looks like one of those games where Brady he's going to throw it. He's going to obviously do that. So, like, I'm not concerned about the passing fantasy football upside in that area. But I feel like they're going to try to run the ball with Fournette a lot because Philadelphia has not had success stopping the run. And when they go there, they go there. So,
yeah,
I think it's a good week for Leonard Fournette to start him.
Yeah. So you're saying literally every Bucs player that we've talked about, other than Ronald Jones, is startable?
That's ridiculous, but yeah.
Ronald Jones is like he has not had a snap percentage above 20 this season.
Yeah, that's gross. He should just be on the way.
Talk about being in a doghouse.
I know.
Gronk, that's a lie. He had a 41% snap percentage in that. But that was it.
Gronk has been ruled out for Thursday night, so he's gone. Are any of these tight ends? Are you interested in any of them? I would say no.
Probably not. Let me see Cameron Brate. What did he do without Gronk? I don't think it was anything crazy, but no, he didn't do really anything. So
okay,
yeah, no, I'm not starting OJ Howard at Cameron Brate.
All right, sounds good. There you go. Thursday night football should be interesting. This is actually a really good game. I'm kind of excited to watch it. I haven't been able to fully watch Jalen Hurts all season, so I'm kind of pumped on that. But yeah, enjoy the Thursday night football game. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments. See you later, guys.
Later.
Thank you for listening to the Fantasy Champions Podcast. Make sure you subscribe on iTunes and YouTube and follow us on Twitter @TheFFChamps.